Well, welcome everybody. This is Budget Buddies. This is where we get together every week and share how we did with our weekly expendable budgets, kind of give each other some support and talk about how we're going to change things for next week. You can follow along with us. Down below we're going to link a free printable that has the same categories that we use, and you can fill in your amounts. We go on a weekly basis. We're happy to be your budget buddies, but it really does work better if you have a friend that you feel comfortable with sharing these things with. But we, like I said, we are happy to be your budget buddy. Just in the comments, let us know how you did every week. And we will support you that way. So Abby's going to kind of introduce you guys all to the main things that make budget buddies work.
Okay, hi everyone. So the pillars of the Budget Buddies is pretty simple. We have four basic rules or guidelines of how Budget Buddies work. So the first one is Liz and I use the same categories for spending, but we don't necessarily use the same budgeting amounts. So if you want to follow along, like Liz said, there's a printable that you can use, and you can follow the same categories with us, or you can make your own. It's totally up to you. The second is you can borrow between categories in that week, but you can't borrow from yourself from the next week. So like we have groceries, we have personal spending. If you go over in groceries and you need to take from your personal spending during that week, it's totally acceptable, but you can't take from the next week's budget. We got that idea from Jordan Page, and we will link her video below. The third thing is use cash. Dave Ramsey kind of started this whole going away from debit card and credit card to cash, and thousands of people have gotten out of debt today, and that's because it really works. So when you do decide what your categories are, just that day, go to the bank, take out that money, set it aside. There's a lot of different ways you can do this. You can use an envelope like Jordan Page does, like Liz does. You can use an Excel to track it. You can keep it in clips in your wallet, whatever works best for you. Just make sure you're using cash so that you have less temptation to overspend. And then the fourth thing is to remember to use a monthly budget for all of your bills, not just the categories we have laid out here, but really to take the time, go through your bank statements, go through your, anything that you have that you need to spend money on, make sure it's all accounted for, and that you know how much you actually have to spend that month, because that will help decide how much you have left for the categories that we talk about where we go over. And the main reason why we only do these four smaller categories like groceries, personal spending, is because your bills are typically fixed. You can't really change how much your rent or your mortgage is, but if you don't have enough to cover all of your bills, you can drastically change your grocery allowance. So we have a no-fail monthly budget system that I have a video on that we will link to, and that's it. Those are the four pillars. Pretty simple.
How you did it.
Go ahead and pull up my numbers. So groceries, I wanted in June to spend about $70 a week, and I ended up spending on average about $100 a week. So we went over in June, and I'm hoping in July, since we are really focused on our diet has kind of changed. We're really more health conscious on sugar, sodium, and Bo and I are trying to lose weight, so our grocery budget has been a little bit more. So I am going to try to stay within a $75 to $100 range a week. Our other spending, this was anything from entertainment, spending for Lily, home spending, like if we needed. Like, I think I went to a Norwex party, and I did go to a Norwex party, and I got a thing from there for that category. So we wanted to stay around the $50 range, and it was actually, we went over for that, but not by much. My spending is usually out of control. I try to do about $250 a month, but I try to do about 150 a month, and I usually end up doing 250. So my last week of spending in June, my goal was 3750, and I went to 7625. So I was definitely over. My husband always does a really great job. He usually has a
Who
budget
does
of about
that?
$100 a month, and that's because he just doesn't spend anything. So Bo, his averages out to be about 25 a week for his budget, and
He
he
is the
spent
winner of Budget
24. So
Buddies.
he was the winner of Budget Buddies. And then our gas budget, we average about $32.50 a week for gas, and we're usually right on budget with that. We only have one car, and I'll be writing a blog post about that in the future. But we typically keep our spending usually right on within budget. So total, our goal for the last week of June was $216.25, and we spent $295.43, which means we were negative $79.18, and that can't happen. So I broke the Budget Buddy rule, and I went from, instead of going within the week, I actually dipped into the next week. So what I had to do then is I needed to side hustle and make up for that money. And we will be having a video or a blog post about side hustles in the near future, so be on the lookout for that. And that's one way that if you do find that you are not making enough money or you've gone over and you need to somehow make up that difference,
right.
I highly recommend a side hustle.
So we've been doing this for a while, and only being over about $80, like we've had much worse weeks. So good job, and we'll have links to our old Budget Buddies videos that we recorded in the fall. We'll have links below for that. All right, so my week this week. For groceries, my goal was to spend $60. This is kind of a weird example. So I only spent $18.36. That is not typical. That's just because I don't know. It's just how it worked out this week. So I was up $41.64 in that category, and trust me, that never ever happens. And like I need to go to the grocery store today, which is one of the reasons that it's all messed up. But I'm just using this as an example. So that's how it is. Our other budget, we budget $25 like for eating out as a family, entertainment, things like that. We spent $25 at Olive Garden, so that was came out even. For my spending, I try to just spend $12 a week. Last week I spent $56.34. So just like Abby, you can kind of see where some of my weak spots are. Eating out when I'm at work. I work remotely from home, but recently I've been going into the office more, and I need to get back in the habit of packing lunches because I always eat out whenever I'm there. So that was a big reason for that week. For Adam, my husband, we budget $20 a week, and then he spent $35.63. So he does better than I do, but we're still over. And then gas, Adam has been traveling a lot for work, and since he's self-employed, we like deduct that from our taxes, but we don't get reimbursed for it. So like our gas was over because of that. So you can see we were a little bit over on gas. So totals, we try to spend $200 a week. This week we spent $224.77, so we were over $24.77.
Well, I think you did awesome. $24 over is not bad at all, especially since Adam was out of town. And $18 for groceries, like you said, that's pretty unheard of, but that's pretty amazing because now you were able to use, because if you would have used your whole grocery budget, you would have been over another, like $40?
Thank you.
Yeah, so you kind of helped. You did like the perfect example of taking from one category and using it to another. So you did really good. So like Liz said, we break it down again by the week. So typically when you budget out for a whole month, it can get really easy to overspend, and we're by any means perfect at spending, as you can hear. We go over, and that's why we're kind of picking Budget Buddies up again. We did it in the fall, and it really helped us. We just have a blog that went up about eating out and emotional spending and how it's all tied together. And so that's one thing that we were really surprised at, how much our emotional spending really affects our whole budget. So I'm really excited that we're getting back into Budget Buddies right now. It's we're halfway through the year. It's kind of like a nice reset for the next 6 months. And I know I really need the accountability.
Make sure that you subscribe to our channel and turn on the alerts so that you'll see every Monday when we have a new video up. And we really want to do this with you. So please comment, let us know how you're doing. If you don't feel comfortable sharing like every category, just let us know like, hey, I had $25 left over this week, or I overspent $300. Let us know where you're at, so that we can kind of encourage you along too. And we've just found that sticking to a budget is so much easier when you're doing it with a friend and being honest. And so we hope to see you next week. Have a good week, Budget Buddies.